Okay.
Oh, do you need the applause thing or no?
I got it.
Oh, you're so real.
Is so funny.
Yeah.
She's so real.
Because she edited it so funny. Like, I think she went through like all of our emotions too, and I was just like, Zoe and Aure with a guest star.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey y'all. Hi.
Welcome everyone, first and foremost, oh my god. Again. Welcome everyone to A to Z, a podcast with me, Aurelise, and
Zoeya.
And this is our special guest, Alissa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey.
Are there any introductory words you'd like to say about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Alissa. I just graduated. I have my bachelor's in sociology and women, gender, and sexuality studies.
Sure.
I'm really happy to be here. I'm from the Bronx too. Yeah, that's really it.
Period.
And she's very fitting guest star for what we're gonna talk about today.
Yeah.
Because as you can see from our pink drinks and the pink freaking lighting and everything pink, we're discussing
the Barbie movie.
movie of the century, movie of the summer, movie that saved cinema,
Amen.
Barbie.
Mashallah.
Absolutely. So yeah.
Okay, so basically we're gonna talk about the basics, like the director, all that stuff. We're gonna talk about the different kind of arcs in the movie, especially the kind of arc, you know. We're gonna talk about kind of things that fell flat, some things that we wish could have changed, some differing perspectives we saw on social media because there was a lot.
The reception of the film was crazy.
Yeah, definitely spent some time on men's reactions to the movie, and just how those actually hold up next to the movie and the movie's actual message. And then just talk about stuff that we liked as well.
Yeah.
We also very much curse in this.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I just realized I was
Mhm.
gonna say, I stopped myself from saying
No.
things we fuck with. I can say things we fuck
No.
with.
We get explicit
Yes.
here, as you know.
Right.
And also, this is a spoiler-full
Yeah, absolutely. So
reaction. And,
watch the movie and then come back.
Yes.
So
And listen to this episode because we get into it.
exactly.
Thank you.
Okay, so first and foremost, the Barbie movie came out this summer, so 2023, July 21st, and just to summarize, it's by Greta Gerwig and written by, how do you say that?
Noah Baumbach, written by both Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach. They are partners in real life and both acclaimed directors in their own scene.
So Google summarizes the movie as Barbie and Ken are having the time of their lives in colorful and seemingly perfect world of Barbie Land. However, when they get a chance to go to the real world, they soon discover the joys and perils of living amongst humans. And it stars Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. And Ryan Gosling steals the show.
I'm glad we're getting there.
Right, yeah, absolutely. He did eat, and you know what? I hate to say it, and this is probably gonna be the worst thing that I'm gonna say in this episode, but I hate that the first thing that I talked about when the movie was done was how much the men ate.
Yeah.
I hate that I was talking about Will Ferrell, I was talking about Ryan Gosling, I was talking about, oh my gosh, what's his name? I'm forgetting. Michael Cera.
Oh.
Right.
Simu was also really good too. Like, I just kept talking about the men, and I was just like, oh,
Oh
absolutely
my
not.
God.
Not my
Right.
Barbie movie. I was like, not my Barbie movie, because Margot did amazing.
Issa played herself.
Issa.
America.
Issa played herself. Yeah.
She was
wonderful.
really funny.
Yes, he was
so
so funny.
Come over to your house.
He's just Ken.
I love this.
Oh my god, he's
Really
just
good.
Ken, guys.
And the song I'm Just Ken is so good. Oh my goodness, the soundtrack is also really, really, really good. Like,
No,
I'd
it
fully
is.
consider getting that on vinyl. Like,
No,
it's just
I get it.
fantastic.
You know it is.
It brings out my inner white gay.
No. And you know, speaking of bringing out inner white gay, I think a lot of the criticism, like, for the music was that, like, on its own as an album, it wasn't, like, very cohesive.
No.
Which, like, makes a lot of sense. But it's just, like, whenever it was used in the movie, I was just always easily like, oh, okay. Like,
Yeah.
this makes sense.
For sure.
Like, the Barbie chase scene.
Oh,
Like,
my
with
God.
Will Ferrell, like, and they use that Charlie XCX, like,
Which
song.
reminded me, if you've ever heard Amine Charmander,
Right.
the same like bubbly, like I'm very much like
Bubbly
on
poppy.
shrooms.
Yeah.
Energy.
It fit perfectly.
Yeah, and it felt like, if you ever seen kids movies that like the Disney movies do this all the time, where like right when they're having like that emotional crisis, you get the song that then explains what the crisis is yet again.
Yes.
There's a chase scene. She's running through the the lyrics punctuate the
absolutely.
scenes, which is really cool.
Yes. And I think that dialogue does that actually pretty effortlessly in this
Yeah.
movie too, because it just, especially like in the first act or in the first half, it's just like it feels like a kid is playing with her Barbies and making her say these like the dialogue. It feels like everything that Barbie says, even when she's in the real world, it just feels like a kid is playing with her and just being like, and then Barbie says this. And then Ken says this is that.
Right.
And it feel the whole movie, but especially the first half, really does feel like that. It really does feel like a kid playing with a toy, and I love that.
Speaking of the dialogue too, like just kind of starting to get into the plot.
Yeah.
I saw this one review by Modern Girls on YouTube. If you don't watch them, you should. It's fantastic. She goes into like a lot of like girly movies and like kind of reviews them film wise and then also costume wise and stuff. She talks about how Sasha's character felt like really, like her development felt like cut short, and it was just interesting because I like before filming we were talking about how like Greta did the best she could with the fact that like Mattel like had their whole foot in the production, like so I think Sasha being like this is very anti-capitalism, that whole spiel like felt like contrived, but also this is the one time I felt like we got criticism of the brand itself. No other spot got that criticism. But then we spent so much time with the Mattel execs, which is another point that she makes. That like we don't develop America and Sasha's relationship. It's just like one day she's like, oh, we're in the car, split. Like you didn't even like Barbie like 5 minutes ago.
Exactly.
You know, so I don't know how to feel.
And I also have qualms with that character in general, because I feel like I was talking about this yesterday with a friend of mine when we were discussing Barbie. I was talking about how Sasha as a character feels like a insert of Gen Z more so than she feels like an actual character, and it like her dialogue especially just really feels like it tells me everything that millennials and other generations alike, like whenever they're writing Gen Z, like what they get wrong. And I feel like it's just like it's not Gen Z isn't just like angry and nihilistic about everything. We're also happy, like we
just want to live.
We love laughing. Like Gen Z laughs at absolutely everything. We are absurdists, we are nihilistic, like yes, all of those things, but it's just like it's like and yes, that character was probably like hurting, but it's just like it wasn't fleshed out enough to be able to do that. The only excuse that we have is the fact that she's young, that she's like Gen Z. When it's just like we're so much more than that. We're nuanced like people, and it's like we experience joy.
That's what's so interesting, because the movie itself feels like really compelling in terms of like girlhood, womanhood, like that type of dialogue. But I didn't think about that. Like she's written in such a one-dimensional way. And she's really like the only girl that's like the focal point of the film.
Like a girl.
And that's how she's written. I didn't think about that.
That's true.
And
I felt like
that's a great actress though.
She's
doing her thing.
And I just wish we could see more of the video recommended like, oh, it would have been cool to see a scene of the three of them playing with Barbie dolls. That would have been so cute, because then it's like, okay, Barbie gets to see like what emotional connection with a daughter is like, and that would compel her further to want to have an emotional connection, not just with a daughter, but like just with any woman in that way. Because part of like feeling or like being exposed to those feelings is stronger connections, like with your friends. Like if everything is perfect, which it isn't, and we'll get into that, like how Barbie Land is very much not perfect at all. But the fact that like all these women, but are you really bonding with them if you're not even really feeling like
absolutely
what's really like
clock
the
that
point,
clock that.
And I know that like relationships amongst like people that are marginalized are like emphasized by the fact that we're marginalized, because we like share a struggle, we bond, but like that's not to say like, oh yeah, like we should continue to be like marginalized so we can bond, but like humans can feel more, so I don't know, I feel like that would have been cooler. The Mattel execs felt like bumbling idiots.
Yeah.
Will Ferrell, he
No.
did
Like,
it.
I didn't expect it, like, in the trailer, you know, because the trailer ends with her running.
Yeah.
I didn't expect from the trailer that it was just gonna be them running in a bunch of different directions. I was like, what the fuck?
Like, stupid.
What is that?
Like, what's
Which is
happening?
funny.
Yeah.
And it's fun to see men in business suits doing it. It's fun.
Yeah, of
They're
course.
stumbling
It's
everywhere.
long.
Yeah.
Long, not as meaningful as you would hope for
Yeah.
that part of the film too. I don't know. It didn't hit for me, but
No, for sure. What else? I definitely liked just speaking also on plot, because Greta was talking about how people asked her to cut out the scene with Margot and the old lady.
Yes.
that's crazy.
And that's like my favorite scene
Yes.
in the movie.
Yes.
Her just being like, "You are beautiful."
She's never seen no
And she's
woman
like,
before in her
"Hell
life.
yeah."
Yeah. She's like, yeah.
Like, yes, I would.
Yeah, and she's
I
never
like her.
seen an old woman in her life.
Ever.
Ever. So if her immediate, you had said this.
Yeah.
Do you wanna?
Yeah, it's so interesting because it shows that like in Barbie world, like they don't have any of these like expectations regarding aging, regarding getting older, losing your value as you age, because they don't age. So she comes into the real world and she has none of those preconceived notions. So the way she talks to her is so beautiful and authentic, and she sees her, whereas like in you know our society in real life, like no, older women are not seen the way that Barbie saw her. I love that scene. I can't believe anyone wouldn't want it in the film. It was incredible.
Yeah, because people were like, "Oh, it doesn't
Speaks to the
tie in."
point.
It
To
does.
the plot, but yes, it does. Exactly, that's the whole point. Like, even in the intro, part of it too was like, oh, like, congratulations and good luck going into the real world to like make sure that like we can save the riptide and then like don't get cellular.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Oh my god.
which is fucking hilarious, but it's like that's the thing, and I feel like cellulite is also part of aging. Like, she does not recognize any of that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Also, oh my god. Have either of you watched Eve? Or remember Eve? Tyra Banks, Lindsay Lohan.
Oh, life size.
I've
Life
watched.
size.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
watched it
Mhm.
a while ago.
Life size.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Just wanted to throw that out
Super.
there.
No, yeah, it was
Very
super.
similar.
And it's crazy because I thought that this movie, because based on the premise, you would think, okay, this is kind of like life size because there's a Barbie in the real world. But it's just like the different. I appreciated that we had like different twists and turns, and her like exploring a lot of like the internal of what it means to be a human being, more specifically what it means to be a woman and what it means to feel. Like that was the part that probably wasn't like as explored in life size. It was just
It was
so
just like,
but I'm glad that we expanded upon that we just it felt like another step after life size and what that accomplished.
oh,
But yeah, I love that movie.
I understand the Birkenstock. I just don't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I get it. Because the whole point was like, you can be normal Barbie. Like, I got it.
You can be normal.
I get it.
Right.
It's just
I don't know. I resonated with what you said after the film, where you were like, I wish she was just like decked out in pink. Like, why does she have to look so normal and basic? Like, I know you're normal Barbie, but like, that doesn't mean you don't have your self-expression. I wanted to see that.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's like, it felt like, not that she lost it, but in a way.
Yeah.
Right? Like, being a human doesn't mean sacrificing all those like fantastic outfits and stuff. Why the fuck?
Exactly,
She could have had a suitcase from Barbie.
Yeah.
She could have bring the.
I don't know. I guess it
But
was.
I understand.
It's just like a visual. It was probably maybe it was more like calculated than anything else. It was just like a visual cue for the audience to understand she's now in the real world.
Right, and to
More
kind
than
of go
anything
back
else.
to the point of like, because the whole point of the movie is you're enough.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's like
So
you
it's
don't
going
have
back
to
to that.
have the extravagant outfits to be enough. So how can you drive that point if this person is extravagant? You have to like dial it down.
That's true. We have to remember what movie we're watching.
Right,
Exactly.
A lot of the time we lose the plot, and we lose that with our criticisms.
Oh, okay. So
Speaking of that,
man, you're awful. So first of all,
where does one begin?
men's reactions to the movie were
Horrendous.
Yeah.
uncalled for.
Disappointing. Disappointed but not surprised.
Right, exactly. Like, not shocked at all.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking to my Kens and Allans out there who
Right.
enjoyed themselves.
No.
I'm talking to you 3%ers.
Ben
Ben
Shapiro.
You.
Out there burning dolls. Are you
Like,
serious?
what the fuck?
Like, are you okay?
Get a job.
Oh
Yeah.
The fact that they tanked the reviews
Insane.
was shitty, and you said that they
Mhm.
some another piece had done that.
they do this for many, large films, TV shows that depict any marginalized person ever, like at the focal point with The Last of Us. They did that
Yes.
for such a beautiful episode,
Yeah.
just because two people were gay in it. So it's like very kind of over the top.
It's a great episode.
It really feeds into this whole like straw feminism, but they're not actually like watching the movie to
They're
understand
not
what's
engaging with
happening.
the content. You're not like thinking through
No.
what's actually like
Yes.
what's actually the story that's being told to you.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
And it's even frustrating because you had talked about how palatable the movie was made. And you also mentioned Ken is a huge part of this movie.
Ken is a big
Like,
part of this movie.
His arc is long.
If you this is why I just don't understand why
Why we're
some men
mad.
came out of the movie and were just like, this is feminist propaganda, this, that, and the third, it's all
Yeah.
about the women, it's all about the girls.
Mhm.
Ken is such a large part of the movie. His story is such a large part of the movie, and him discovering the patriarchy is like a huge ass part of the movie. And it's
Yeah.
like you can't ignore that because it's just like it's so intertwined with Barbie's story as well. Like
Yeah.
feminism is a discussion on like absolutely everyone. And it always has been, and like we know that, but it's just like it's something that's explicitly like stated in this movie,
Yeah.
or made very clear at least in this movie.
Yeah.
To get into, do we want to get into the Ken arc now?
We can.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think to get into the Ken arc, we definitely need to talk about how Barbie Land was before and then after, because they do make it a point to say like, oh, I don't want things to go back to the way that they were.
Yeah.
So I definitely, I alluded to earlier how like Barbie Land in the beginning wasn't perfect. I'm not
Absolutely.
talking about the fact that Kens don't have housing. I don't give a fuck about. They're fine. They're fine. They're good.
Okay.
We never answered the question about where they live. I remember I like asked like, where the fuck do the Kens live? But that's fine. They're doing fine.
Yeah. They're okay.
They're fine.
They just beach.
They
Yeah.
just beat
They're
each
beaching.
other off. Just beat each other off.
Oh man.
But the concept of the Kate McKinnon weird Barbie.
Yes.
The fact, why the fuck is there a weird Barbie in this female utopia? Because I felt weird because like we're in that subtle way. I feel like we still are acknowledging that there is some notion of like patriarchal beauty standards.
Yeah.
Because why? You know, like I know that it's supposed to be a joke. The other dolls, the video Barbie, because they were discontinued.
Yeah.
Like that's a joke. That's a little separate. But weird Barbie, like, why? You know, like why is that? Why is she not integrated into the society? Like, why do we have like? And they keep calling her not weird, but they joke about her being unattractive, right? Am I looking?
Yeah. They
Yeah.
definitely do.
Like they're like and then
embedded
she
in
was
there.
like her joke about like, oh, like, I'm always in the splits and I smell like basement. Can you smell them?
Yeah.
Like Barbie, can
Yeah.
you smell? Like, do we know that?
That's true.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about?
You gagged it.
Yeah, like what the fuck are you talking about? So that was weird. And then yeah, so it's like every other Barbie's types like Kenny except for her. Like it's just really weird. And then what else?
I get that.
You mentioned something about them not developing Midge. Midge exists and that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's just there. And it's so interesting because I really wanted them to do something with her. For whoever doesn't know, Midge is like a pregnant Barbie that was made, I don't know when. But
I think
she
it was made back
basically
until the 60s.
Yeah.
And brought back.
Yeah.
In the-
Yeah. She basically got banished from the Barbie franchise because she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And in the film she's just there.
And she
says
can't even
hi.
dance. She can't carry a tune. She's
Yeah.
in the dance scene. She's like,
Poor Ella.
Like,
you've never seen a pregnant woman get down.
Because
Yeah.
that's also another actress, like really incredible actress, Ella.
Mhm.
Leno.
And for such like a strong commentary on like valuing motherhood, it didn't make sense to me that she like didn't even have a line really.
Absolutely.
Like
Mhm.
it didn't make sense. It made me sad.
I saw recently, I don't know, it was somewhere on Twitter. I'm not calling it X.
Wait, absolutely not.
Yeah, it was renamed now to X. jump scare. Sorry about that, guys. So I saw recently on Twitter that there was actually a deleted scene with Midge giving birth, and Helen Mirren, the lady who plays the narrator, was also there, like there, I think, like holding her hand or something like that. I have no idea what that scene is about. I literally saw a picture, but so I guess there was supposed to be like another scene with her character. I mean, maybe it would have been like an emotional catharsis scene or something like that to connect with motherhood with America Ferrera's character and Ariana Blatt, but.
And then, but instead of that, we went with Mattel executives.
Yeah,
running around.
They wanted to be the main character so bad.
So bad. Like, what was the writer's room? They said, guys, you gotta put me in there.
Will Ferrell did
I'm gonna give you money, but you gotta put me in there.
Will Ferrell chewed so bad.
He did great, though.
When he said, call me mother, I was like, absolutely.
Like,
I was like, yes, mother.
Yeah.
Yes, mother.
What was that line? I'm someone's aunt's daughter's son. Like
his physicality too, like I was obsessed. Like that was like literally, I hate to say that was my favorite performance, but it was one of them. Because I can't give a man too much.
So Barbies have positions. They're like all women Supreme Court, doctors. They're the ones that are running the society. And someone had a video that was saying that when they accept the awards, they don't say, oh, thank you. They say, I deserved it. I worked really hard and I deserved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was very much a meritocracy that worked because these are, in fact, knowledgeable women. Yeah. Which also leads to why Kendom?
What is it called again? Mojo, whatever.
Mojo Dojo Casa House
is dirty and crumbles because y'all don't do, y'all just beach. Like, y'all are not.
And riding around in your little toy
horses. The horses killed me.
That was
like,
awesome. He said, it's the way he said it, I got a little disinterested when I realized that the patrarchy was not about horses. And I love, sweetie.
Like,
but you didn't put the boot down. Like, you saw that.
Gag it.
So, like, I don't
Gag is the way. We're not letting you off so easy, Ken.
So,
we're not letting you off so easy, Ken.
Then they go out to, like, she starts to feel in the middle of the dance thing. You see it in the trailer. Oh, does anyone think about death? And then they're like, "What the fuck is that?" And she's like, "I'm dying to have a good time." Like, what do you mean? I'm just doing great. I'm definitely not thinking about death right now. Then blah blah blah. She has all these negative feelings. They go into to Weird Barbie. And then Weird Barbie is like, okay, you need to go into the real world. Very Wizard of Oz, you know.
It's very interesting how she's kind of like the bridge between those two worlds, though. Like her house is even like a refuge toward the other like discontinued like Barbies and Kens.
And then to Barbies in general later.
Yeah,
they're all just linked at the house.
Yeah. Like,
kicked off.
and I think that is really interesting. I think Kate did such an amazing job. That was like, she's like my second favorite performance.
And she said she loved it, like being like dressed up and stuff.
Like it was so fun, but it's just like
filmed it, like with her Lego balls.
How
did y'all do that?
Like that must have been just like such a blast, like on that set, like first and foremost, like
the car.
And then like just the set designs and the materiality of all that. But anyways, back to my point. I really feel like it makes a lot of sense that she's the bridge between those two worlds, though, because she's the one that is like ultimately much more affected by human beings. Like she was the doll that was just like trampled with and like tussled, like just weight, like I don't know. She was the Barbie that I guess felt most of the weight, like in that sense,
which
like
is
of the human weight,
to consider. I think they had something like that in Toy Story too.
Where
they had like a bunch of toys that got fucked up because what's his name, Sid? Don't
I'm
fuck
telling
around
you,
too much.
Greta and Noah, they kind of studied Toy Story a little bit because like they kind of stole a little bit of their flow. Like with Ken, down to Ken being evil and everything, like. Even though Ken, you're not that evil, but still.
His redemption.
I'm not letting you. I'm not letting you slide.
Off the hook. No, but we'll get it.
Right.
Mainly.
I still love Ken.
I
love you, Ken.
I like Simba was so attractive.
People like hate him for some reason.
I don't know why. I think he ate that. I know why, but I don't want to get into that.
Oh.
I'm not gonna get into that.
We'll talk about
but
that later.
I think he gave a good performance too.
We'll
talk about that later.
So they go, she realizes, she goes in, so Sasha, the thing we were talking about earlier with Sis's daughter, America's Daughter.
Right.
Saying like this whole spiel about like hating Barbie and how Barbie contributes to capitalism, blah 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 blah. It felt like so many big words, so many big themes that were just dropped, and then that was it.
And to be fair, I really do feel like other generations, when they hear Gen Z talk, they're just like buzzword after buzzword after buzzword, like TikTok word after TikTok phrase, gaslighter, like fascist,
love bombing,
toxic, like all of the buzzwords. So like I do get it to some extent, but like I mentioned before, we're real human beings with feelings.
So while Barbie's being fucking berated,
and Barbie has feelings.
Yeah, so she has feelings, so she's struggling. Ken is like, oh, I'm acknowledged. Like, people notice the flow up in this motherfucker. Like, nobody's fucking with this fur. Like, fucking someone. And he goes, what was it? When he goes into the hospital, he was like, I'm not gonna let you perform one appendectomy. Can I speak to a doctor, please? I am a doctor. No, excuse me. Excuse me. That shit is so funny because like it just reaffirms that like, babe, you weren't set up to do much. You don't never have to do. However, I will say 2012 Netflix Barbie Life in the Dream House. Ken is a tour de force. He builds a closet. He builds a car.
He's amazing.
He builds the house. He's fantastic. Like he could run Barbie Land.
No, absolutely.
This one, Ryan Dawson could.
No, he's a himbo. I love a himbo, but
Ken could run Barbie Land like it's like nothing you've ever seen. I feel like
not
that
one,
Ken.
No, not this one.
Not Ryan's Ken. We love you, Pookie. But like, but Barbie in the Dream House Ken, like that's a real man.
Fucking
and it's crazy because it's canon in that like Barbie universe that like Ken has like a Barbie sense. So whenever Barbie needs help,
oh my god.
So whenever she needs help, literally go watch it. You'll feel better about your life immediately.
Yes.
And
really
so literally anytime Barbie needs help, he knows and he's like, Barbie needs me. And
Yes.
he leaves. So he'll do whatever. Like I remember there was this one time he was in an astronaut suit. He was supposed to go up into space, and his Barbie senses were tingling, and he was like, Barbie needs me, and she needed like movie snacks or something.
Wow,
It was
I love him already.
Exactly. So that's
such a good show.
But yes, so they go and Ken's out here reading about the patriarchy, scaring a bunch of moms and their kids because he's like,
you just have these random Barbie adults just running around school. No one knows who they are.
And then America Ferg is like, oh shit, like that's the Barbie that escaped Barbie Land. Like it's lit. We're about to get in the car. She starts driving like it's Fast and Furious. And then
mind you, she works at Mattel.
And so we could arrest you. Like, police don't exist, I guess.
Right.
Except for when they're being shitty and harassing her. Yeah. So she gets like, which is like true to life.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Cops very much make me feel uncomfortable beyond the uncomfortable dynamic between cops and people of color. They very much like stare at me and like will like make weird faces at me. Like that's happened before, and I can definitely see them, especially in different towns, making really, really like very fucked up comments to women. Like I can absolutely fucking see that.
Yeah, that's why one of the main critiques about that whole scene being unrealistic, which is like what a lot of men are saying, that the part where Barbie's getting sexually harassed by a bunch of people, they're like, oh, like that would never happen. That doesn't happen.
Like last week.
Like that definitely happens, and it was more concentrated in the film. But I think most women watch that and they're like, yeah, I felt that.
Yeah.
Like,
and they made it a point to say something. They were like, I feel the looming threat of violence. And I don't feel anything.
Barbie just literally feel like, I'm kind of self-conscious and like afraid all the time, and I wonder what that is. And Ken just being like, I feel great in this bitch.
Yeah.
And it's
so that matters, right? And then like, then they go to the execs. He's like, go, Will Ferrell. She's gonna go to the building. She's like, okay, well, Mattel made me. Let's go, go to mom. Then she goes, and then Will Ferrell is like, just get back in the box. Like, it'll be fine. And they build up the tension in a hilarious way just to have all the Mattel execs run like it's like, what is that? Pac-Man and the ghosts like not following you, very
Yeah.
much not knowing where you are. Like it's so goofy for all the tension that it was building up. And
Absolutely.
then
I could see the inspiration from like different like campy films in like the 60s.
yeah, that's another one.
Like
This
not
is
just
very
in like the
campy.
coloring, but in also like the movements. And it's not just because they're dolls, but it's also it just feels like very like
Didn't take
in
itself
that
seriously
setting.
at all.
Yeah, it doesn't take itself seriously. Like it's camp.
So yeah, they're running. She's like, fuck this, I have a lot of work to do, like this, I like it here. Again, part of the criticism that I saw that I really understood was like, I don't understand why she likes it here.
Yeah.
Because there's just negative experience after negative experience. Like, we don't really see her, like, bond. We assume that they implicitly bond because of time spent together, but not because we, like, took the time, the same way they took the time at the end to be emotional and play like the song that clues you in on what's actually going on internally. They don't do that in the scenes where the three of them together, America, Sasha, and Thingy, and Margot. So I was just like, are they like, why would you want to stay? I don't know.
Yeah.
But period. But then by the time they get back, it's too fucking late. Ken has converted the Barbie house to the Mojo Dojo Casa house, which I remember I saw an interview that was talking about how like Barbie was the first of its kind, like the first woman in like toys to have her own fucking car, her own house, her own career, her own clothes, her own brand. Like everything is hers. It's not Barbie and she's living in Ken's house. No, it's hers, and it's pink, and it looks like it belongs to her. So it felt all the more disrespectful for Ken to like come in and just fuck shit and make it dirty.
Ken's the accessory here. He always has been the accessory.
Intentionally.
And he made it dirty is my thing. Cause I remember they made a joke about like wiping it down.
Yeah.
When they left, they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna wipe this shit down because y'all are fucking nasty." And then
I think that was Issa.
yes,
Yeah.
I forgot it was yeah. And then
President Barbie.
It just, you were talking about it, and if you want to expand on how like the worlds are completely different, because in the real world, like in Barbie Land in the beginning, Kens aren't brainwashed, but in this one they are in the kingdom.
Yeah. Well, like even firstly, like the whole Adam and Eve analogy, where like in real life, like men or women rather are these accessories to men. Like we are viewed only as accessories. And then in the film, she completely like 180s that, and men are accessories to Barbie. And then men watch the film and they're like, "Oh my god, like why would they do that?" And it's like, this is the reality for so many women in real life. And Ken Dom, whatever, is not the same thing as what Barbie Land was, because Ken's at least had their autonomy. They weren't silenced. They weren't forced. In Kendom, women are brainwashed. Like
quite literally,
they're doing all of these things and they don't even know it.
Yeah.
They're forced to be accessories. Where at least I didn't get the sense that in Barbie Land, Kens were being forced to do anything. Like,
we let you beach.
His job is just beach.
Yeah, he's beaching and he was having a good time.
Yeah,
beaching, like,
and then you realize also at the end of the film, like the Kens missed their Barbies because like of who they were, like just like their friends and their partners, I guess. Like so it's like they just missed them because they saw them.
Exactly.
Right.
So it definitely was not the same. And it's also like the society fucking crumbles. Like y'all don't know how to be doctors. Like y'all didn't have the women emphasize like I got this because I deserved it. Y'all didn't. So there was no plan, no thoughts behind that head.
Yeah.
Just an 80s musical number, and that's it.
It's so crazy because I feel like when Ken went into the real world and he was like in that hospital and he was demanding to like see the doctor or whatever, it felt very much so like he was kind of taking what he thought about Barbie Land and kind of bringing it to the real world, and he was just like, well, there has to be like a Dr. Barbie or like a Dr. Ken or a Dr. like something, you know? So it's just like there has to be like that role that's fulfilled by someone. Why can't I have that role? So
I feel like for Ken Dom, like it was more about power than it was about like actually having like a functioning equitable society.
Yes.
Exactly. It was never about power.
That's why they're so easy to manipulate.
Yeah, oh, that's another one. So that's the thing. people will say like, oh, the movie did not make this shit 50-50 because of what we talked about, but also I had written that it's very important to acknowledge that the kind of society that bred the need for Barbie. So it's like Barbie was made out of our society's girls, yes, white girls, but they needed a toy to help them imagine having nuance and three-dimensionality, capital, and stability. So I don't feel bad for the Kens in Barbie Land, like at the end, right? Or we're like, oh, that, it says when the women in Barbie were qualified to hold the positions they had, and there's a comment at the end that Ken's treatment is a stand-in for women in the real world, and showing that truth while having the power we see in Barbie Land is also really cool, because it's like we're showing this in a way that doesn't like have to show like women being like traumatized and such a like no, we have an alternate reality we can like dream, which again doesn't so like you're not compromising your message so that people feel like emotionally moved, because I feel like you see that in a lot of like Black films where it's like we're beating the shit out of Black people so that white people understand that this is wrong, whereas here it like was little moments that like, yes, I agree with it, but I also didn't feel like exhausted by the ways in which that like we showed that Barbies work by using the Kens. It's a safer allegory and just straight up showing subjugating women throughout the whole film. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that does make sense. That does make sense.
So that was cool. I genuinely the Ken arc also just it made me sad that men didn't get it, because I think it was it's something that I have been talking about for a long time. Like I remember one of my friends was like, oh, like your Instagram isn't really like inviting for men, and I was like, but it's not for men. But also I also do like I speak at length about how like men need to give themselves empathy. Stop fucking looking for me, sweetie. Go develop yourself outside. And so the movie really shows how like misogyny ties men to women, because I don't know who I am, but I know that I can subjugate you.
And it's just like it reminds you of that explicitly too, especially in the end when we're tying up all of these like loose ends, all of these storylines between all of these characters. Like Barbie tells Ken, like, dude, you're your own thing. You're your own person.
Go be yourself elsewhere.
You are Ken. You are enough. Like
literally,
you are literally enough on your own. You're not just an extension of me. And so that's why I feel like it's kind of a reverse of like what you were talking about, like a reverse Adam and Eve situation, because it's just like at least like I think in the Bible, or like continuing with Bible lore, like there's like this sense of it's like this complementary like sort of attitude that I think people have like between like men and women, and I think that's definitely something that we see in the film too, with between the Barbies and Kens, but it's just like it's not something that's like explicitly romantic, and I like that they touch on that, because you see that between like different Barbies and Kens too. And to be honest, I do think Margot and Ryan do have that chemistry. Like they do have that romantic chemistry. So like I would have been fine even if they did end up together romantically, because it's just like they're Barbie and Ken. They're so cute. But like this wasn't that movie, because Greta for some reason doesn't like romance. But
that's true. Yeah,
I love her and I understand her, but I need her to like make me a rom-com or a musical. I feel like that's actually the point of Barbie. The point of Barbie is that Greta Gerwig needs to direct a musical. That's it.
I can see that.
That's it. Episode over.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
You had also mentioned, Alissa, about no one thriving in the picture.
I feel like that was the major point that men just did not get. Like, Ken was suffering, even when he was being patriarchal with his horses and land. Like, he was suffering and he was sad and he felt lonely.
And empty.
Yeah, empty. Like, that is the word. He was so sad. He even runs away from like the crowd to go cry, like because he doesn't want to cry in front of everyone. I suppose. And I don't know. Like I feel like it's just he's just silly. I love him. He's silly. Like I feel like I'm surprised people didn't take that from the film, because it was a huge arc that like he was also not okay, and he needs to develop a sense of self before he goes on these huge rampants trying to like find himself in like these weird of things. Like, he was also just like so obsessed with pertaining to other Kens, pertaining to other men, which is a huge thing.
Kens love each other.
Yeah, and which I think
true to our society.
yeah,
No,
I think
absolutely.
absolutely is so true to our society. Like so many men putting aside their sense of self and their empathy for women because they want to appeal to other men. And Ken did that the entire film. That's why, like, I was kind of glad there was no romance because he didn't like Barbie.
No.
What did he know about Barbie?
What did he?
Yeah.
Like there was no.
That's
healthy
true.
relationship.
But to be honest, I think that was also like kind of the whole point of the movie
Right.
in itself, because it's just like Barbie hadn't gone through that emotional journey, like where she was able to find like sense of self. Because it's just like, who are the Barbies outside of their occupations too? Like if we were to make that argument, like who is author Barbie outside of being an author? Like you know she reads a lot of books, she writes, but it's just like, what else and what else? So it's just like I think that if we were to make that argument, I think it would extend to the personhood of the women themselves, not just the men. So I don't know. I just think it's nice that they all like have their little person, and I like that a lot. But yeah, they're all kind of.
They are all. They're all.
And
so sweet. Like that's also what really like it made me just sad that like everyone like she made it a point so that everybody I can paint you. For sure.
You should paint me that.
But yeah, like
You need that.
our friend's nickname is Ken, so I was gonna.
He needs one.
Oh,
He
yeah.
needs one.
Yeah.
Okay. For the rest, I wanted to bring up different like videos that I saw or different stuff that I just saw online and we can just talk about it. The first thing, how did y'all feel about Barbie? Because they acknowledge that it's stereotypical Barbie.
Right.
What were your thoughts on that? Did you feel like it made sense that she was like the stereotypical white Barbie? Do you feel like it should have been a Barbie of color? Like what how do you feel about that? Are you indifferent? Stuff like that.
I thought about that a lot, and I am so indifferent and don't know the right answer. I feel like there is no right answer, and I understand why. Like, she's white, and I also understand why people would have wanted her to be a Barbie of color, so I have no real clue. What are your thoughts?
Right. I just think Margot Robbie is so stunning. That's a pretty lady. What a beautiful lady. And she looks like a Barbie. She actually really does look like a life-size Barbie. So like in that respect, the casting is just like it's automatically a win because she looks like a Barbie. No, it's okay. Why? What was I gonna say? No, it's okay.
She looks like a Barbie, automatically a Barbie. Margot Robbie is beautiful.
Yeah, Margot Robbie just has face card.
She
and
does.
She looks like a stereotypical Barbie. So I think in that respect, like physically, she does look like it. She just looks like a stereotypical Barbie. And I think in the movie when she talks about how she doesn't feel pretty enough, and the narrator,
Margot Robbie is a terrible person.
Helen Mirren is just like not too much now. Like that's the wrong person to cast to make this point. And I think that was just very deliberate because it's just like. Yeah, she is like stereotypical Barbie, so it's like I don't know, but I didn't feel like it was harmful to the movie in any way because it's just like they were able to make that joke and also like she's just who you imagine as Barbie, and it's like I can't hate her, like that's my sister, that's Barbie. Because
I know that was a reason a lot of people didn't want to go see it because they were like, I don't want to see, because they immediately assumed white women, white feminism.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I saw this, I was just thinking about it as well, and I was thinking about how a lot of times, and y'all can attest to this, like growing up thinking that like the perfect man is gonna save you from the patriarchy, the perfect body is gonna save you from the patriarchy, whiteness and a proximity to whiteness is gonna save you from the patriarchy, money is gonna save you from the patriarchy, all that stuff, capital is gonna save you, and if a woman, a doll that has everything is put in the real world, she comes from everything a woman could possibly want, and is put in the same world as all of us, and still fucking crumbles. So you kind of are left to imply that if you're lower on that hierarchy, because again, she can just fucking dip. She can leave. Because me, I'll have some cellulite if I can have a Barbie dollhouse. The fuck?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll deal with the emotional like gamut of feelings, because then you get a middle ground. I think it's fantastic, but whatever. So she comes from the capital. She comes from everything, the perfect man, like literally at her feet. Like that's what like a lot, you know, you hear a lot of women want that. They want, you know, those kinds of things. And yet she's just not saved from the harassment. She's not saved from the vitriol. She's not saved from the disrespect, the existential crisis. So it reinforces America's monologue. And just like it serves to validate the intersection, I think, if you think about it this way, because it's like, so it is worse for women that are black here, and it is worse because it's already bad for a rich white woman. You know what I mean? So
for
I think
a white woman who has it all.
Who has it all.
Absolutely all.
So that felt really cool.
Yeah.
And then there was this one, if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Khadija Mbawe's video about Drake and how you go from nice guy to misogynist. And she talks about how you know, men are misogyny ties men to women, and how you can tell, like in what you were talking about, how Ken goes out of his way to impress other Kens instead of bonding with Barbie
or Alan.
Or Allan, facts. Like, Allan is just very much like...
Allan, absolutely the only real man in this movie, too. I think you had sent me did you send me a reel or a TikTok or something? And this one girl was mentioning how Allan is literally the only real man there is in that movie, because he's the one who, like, basically, like, fights for the Barbies, is an independent, like, free thinker who thinks on his own, and is also thinking about Ken. Like, he's the only one who actually really cares about Ken too, and he doesn't jive with like this patriarchy thing, because it's just like he knows it just doesn't benefit him. He knows it doesn't benefit Ken either, so he literally beats up on these other guys. It's so crazy.
I love him.
Why do men not like this movie? He beats up like 20 other guys. Like, don't y'all like that? Like,
Isn't that what she like?
Isn't that what y'all like? Like, he beats up all these other guys so that Barbie can get away. Like, and I feel like also this was touched upon in the TikTok, but like a lot of people also received Allan's character as kind of like queer coded. When it was just like he was just there, and like he was bothered by the patriarchy, and he wanted Ken to be free, and he wanted the Barbies to be free, like, and he respected women. Like, that's why does he have to assume to be queer in order to be all of those things? Like, you don't have to have a romantic attachment to women to be able to respect them. Like, and you know, women are more than just who they are to you as well. And I think that in some respects this movie does cover that through like Barbie's emotional like sort of discovery, but also in other ways, I don't know, it does challenge it. It does challenge it for a good portion, but in other ways it's just like not reflected maybe.
Because I was thinking about like how it touches on how if you use women as currency, it's like I have the same feeling about like education systems, because schools get paid for how many people attend the classroom, how many people are in the school. Can you really bond with all those kids and make a meaningful impact if what you want is kids and not for them to learn?
Numbers.
So if what you want is women and not connections, you forego one for the other. You know, you lose yourself trying to prove yourself, if you will. Because like I'm not worried about bonding. I'm worried about getting as many. So you have to like not have, you can't extend humanity to these people, or else you're gonna come face to face with the fact that, you know, you're literally like discarding real life human beings.
You have to look yourself in the mirror to like develop that bond with another woman, and a lot of men just choose not to.
And also you're inherently admitting to yourself when you do that you're not enough. Like you're inherently, you're seeing that hole within yourself and trying to fill it with as many other things as possible, when it's like you're enough, you're enough, you're enough, guys. Like it's enough. We've had enough. Like, it's enough.
And then also, what do you have to bring to the table if you do not have an emotional vulnerability or a vulnerable relationship with yourself? What do you have to bring to a friendship? What do you have to bring to a relationship? What do you bring to yourself if you don't even know not even fuck who you are. If you don't even know how to process your day-to-day feelings in a healthy way, how could I possibly build anything with you? You feel that's a burden. Because I'm also, it feels like Build-A-Bear. Like, and it's a lot of psychological studies too that talk about how men benefit from relationships with women more than women benefit from relationships with men, because it is through relationships with women that they learn emotional vulnerability and emotional intelligence.
100%.
The pain is already built into us, like they discussed in the movie. The pain is built into women, and it's just like we're trained and socialized to like process other people's emotions, and in turn, like we do use that on ourselves, but it's just like it's something that we learn on our own still. So it's like, y'all playing catch up. We're all the way over there.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, well, we talk about this, and we will. In our Girlhood episode that we were talking about how when you say like, women mature faster, it's just more room for men to mess up. It's just placing the blame on women instead of being like, this is an adult man or however many years old person who, at that point can be held responsible in the same way that we're holding women responsible doubly for this experience that usually is done to the woman, and not to the men. So that's
the film does a great job discussing that.
Motherhood.
Motherhood. Whew. So many thoughts.
That end part was really cute. Oh my god, the quote about mothers stand still so daughters can see how far they've gone.
Oh Lord.
That was when
that quote broke me. That's when I cried.
Yeah.
It's hard hitting.
I just love Barbie with old ladies. Like that's the moral of the story. Barbie with old ladies. She's always gonna. Something is always gonna happen there. Like, it's just always gonna eat because it's just like it's her. It's her with her humanity. Like it's her discovering her humanity through these women. And going back to that scene at the bus stop with that old lady, that's Barbara, right? Am I? Or is it Barbara?
I don't know.
Or is it her daughter?
Handler's daughter?
I think it's right.
Really? Is it not?
Am I lying?
It might be.
I'm pretty sure I saw something. I'm pretty sure I saw something about that. I'm pretty sure I saw something about that.
I'm putting the book down.
I'm pretty sure I read online or something like that either she's supposed to represent Barbara or she actually is Barbara.
That's really sweet. That's really sweet.
And so that scene it has very many, like a lot of layers with Barbie just being like, you're beautiful, and her just being like, hell yeah, I know. I'm the OG Barbie. Like,
hey, literally.
So literally. So I think that that was like very well done, and I love that it's kind of like those old women are in a way like Barbie's like actual mother too.
Oh yeah.
It's just like she had tea with her and Ruth had tea with her and then Barbie sat at a bus stop with her, and it was just really that scene is just so good because it's one of my favorite parts of the movie. Barbie is literally just watching people exist and she's seeing the extent of humanity. Like she's seeing the anguish, the pain, the joy, like children playing and like lovers holding each other, and she just starts crying and she's like, why am I crying? And it's just because it's beautiful, you know? And that, you know what, that, honestly, that would be enough for me to go human.
Yeah, I understand.
But I think there are definitely other things that maybe should have, like, added on to the push for Barbie to go into the human world.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Because the internal discoveries that Barbie makes throughout the movies is, like, really great. And the discussion of the, like, emotional sort of journey that women go through in general, and that commentary is really well done in this movie. But it's just like the externalities of the real world, especially through the eyes of America's character and Sasha's character, I feel like would have been really cool. Like exploring that on our own and not just through Barbie's eyes. I felt like it would have been beneficial. Would we have been a little bored, and is it maybe redundant? Kind of. But like it feels necessary to flesh out those characters, maybe flesh out that story a little bit more.
Right.
But whatever, this movie's called Barbie. We're following Barbie.
Right.
I think one of my favorite things is that where the movie lacks in fleshing that out, I see in real life. Like,
exactly.
Oh my god, my favorite thing about this movie is like the cultural impact. Just like girls like creating spaces for themselves, like away from men's critiques, away from their gaze.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The fact that girls are passing each other and they're saying hi,
Hi,
Barbie.
Barbie.
The fact that we're all wearing pink with each other, the fact that, I don't know, like we're sparking that dialogue about talking to our mothers or talking about things that we've seen in our mothers that really like represent the difference between girlhood and womanhood and what that means for us. Like the dialogue that this movie has sparked, to me, makes it all enough and all worth it. And it's my favorite thing about it. 100%.
And I like that it also helps me weed out what men I want to keep in my life, also what women I want to keep in my life. Because the way you perceive it, like, if you're going away from this movie, like, because I had made a post about how, you know, if you're not doing things because it's feminine, but you low-key want to do it, but you're not doing it just because it's viewed as feminine, that's fucked up. That's whack. Change that. You know what I mean? So, like, for example, you're cheating yourself out of a movie experience where you, as a man, have a lot to take from that, right? Because it's like, oh, it's like marketed for women, so like it's not for me. That phrase, "it's not for me," I heard that a lot in men's responses. And it was one of the more tame ones, but it was also disappointing because yes, it was.
Barbie is universal. It's everybody.
Exactly. Every single person plays a role in this. Even like Alan, just talking about someone had mentioned how they were non-binary and they felt a connection with Alan because they were like, I feel like I didn't really fit in here or there, but like I was very much like for the girls, you know, like supporting that.
Absolutely, Alan, non-binary ally.
Yeah, and then it's like when they thrived, I did, and I was smart enough to recognize that, so I felt connected with Alan. That was really cool. Shout out to Call Me Joe because that's their Instagram that posted that. But yeah, so it felt really validating, at least in this stage of my life, where I've been thinking about aging, because after like 21, it's like that's you know, that's the last kind of benchmark, I think, I think. In terms of like the legal things you get to do, right? You know, 18 is one.
With you, right? Not with womanhood, but definitely with you.
Yeah, so like 21 you get to drink, and that's kind of like the last kind of
tier. For the
so,
US at least.
And then I keep seeing on TikTok, not me because I'm not very like on that app, but like how people will be like attacked for being 30. That happens at my job as well. Like being like, oh, you're 30, and I'm like, she looks fantastic.
Or oh my god, you're 30.
Or
you
like
look young for your age.
Yes, and it's like being young because I'm fucking
like,
young.
that's
like being
young.
like, oh, I
Very
can't even
abnormal.
tell. Like no, I can tell, and she looks beautiful. That's it. Like it's just that idea of we don't do that to men.
No,
we don't do that to men.
And in America, especially, there's the obsession with youth culture is like weird.
Celebrating women,
So
and especially as a woman of color, like there's so much pressure. I see a lot of like black women being celebrated for not aging, and it's like, well, what if I fucking age? What if I do? We're gonna sit here and act like they're like, what's her name? Angela Bassett doesn't look her age. She absolutely does, but she looks beautiful. Is what you're trying to say.
Lady.
But you express it in a way that's like, oh, the world. Wow, she has it. But the way that we treat women, what the fuck is aging gracefully? What is that? How? In the way that I'm talked to, the way that I'm treated, like, again, definitely goes hand in hand with our girlhood episode. Check that out next. But like,
so
literally,
you'll
like,
hear more about that.
It's like the way that from like at least 12, it's just the psychological impact, damage, erosion, if you will, of my mental state. And then you're like, oh no, but take all of that and then still age grace. Stress is what ages people. Depression, anxiety, all those things are what really releases that cortisol that, you know. but we're supposed to act like it's not happening.
And it's also just
It's not fair.
like let people
Let me
age.
fucking age.
If
Yeah.
you look
Men.
older, you look older. It's
Yeah.
such a natural part of
Don't do
life,
this
and
with
it's
men.
so
Very natural.
weird to like put these standards on us to not age when it's just
Yeah.
what you do.
Because
like,
that concept-
as a human.
That concept is
Ooh.
abstract to Barbie,
Yeah.
but it's because Barbie stays the same forever. But
Yeah.
it's not abstract to human
course.
beings. It's
Exactly.
It's ours. It's what makes us
Mhm.
special, and it's what
Mhm.
makes time
Exactly.
valuable.
Exactly.
Like,
That's
so
the point.
It's so weird because it's like, I don't know. It's taking us out. It's trying to take us out of time in
Yeah.
a weird way when we try to like value like
and
youth
it's also
culture.
just-
And it's just like instead just focus on producing and making things and spending time on that and being
Mhm.
young instead of just like valuing time that you have being alive.
Right.
Like just
And
just
every
being
stage
alive.
of your life,
Yeah.
instead of spending it worrying about, oh, eventually I'm
Yes.
going to look a
Next
certain
week.
way or be, yeah. And then, oh, that's another thing. And I like had posted about how like my pursuit of beauty has brought me nothing other than abuse. Like abuse, disrespect, vitriol, harassment, assault, none of it. Like beauty in the way that men create it, right?
Yeah.
The
In the
Eurocentric
patriarchy.
patriarchy. Yes.
Mhm.
So it's anti-capitalist to be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna age how I want and reject the
Exactly.
notions of aging. And I like that this movie addresses it. And then also on top of that,
I love that.
it's really interesting to see. I saw this video a long time ago talking about we need to cut out the feminization of being bad with money. Because like Barbies, like you said, like it's very like it's a cash cow right
Yeah,
now, and we
absolutely.
are absolutely feeding into it. And it makes us
Mhm.
happy, and as we should.
Yeah. And we're girls.
Because I'm gonna fucking buy it. But here's my thing. It's not okay for me to buy the things that make me happy if they're childish and stuff. But men
Yeah.
get to play like on their Xbox
Yeah.
and PS4s,
Yeah,
and that's
right.
You get to play Call of
questions.
Duty every other day.
Yeah,
like,
and
are
That's
you,
the thing.
are
And
you
that's-
serious?
Women are not allowed to hold on to their girlhood ever. Like men get to grow up and they get to play games, and none of the things that they're doing, like you said, are ever viewed as childish. That's why I love like seeing girls go back to Toys R Us and buying Barbies after the film, because it's like we shouldn't have to let go of that so early. And you want us to let go of that, but then you're also like, oh, but just don't get old though. Like, don't age though. Like, still look like you're 18, but like act like an adult. And it's just like, what? Like,
Yeah, and
it's
that
confusing.
impossibility is really confronted in America's dialogue
Exactly.
in the movie. Like that, just that weird dichotomy of just like being too much and being too little, and like that tight space in between is what literally wakes up all the other Barbies,
Yeah.
because it's just like, well, yeah, that's true.
So
Like,
awesome.
because they know the extremities. Because the Barbies recognize, it makes sense that her monologue wakes them up, because
Right.
the Barbies are introduced to the extremities of like living in the patriarchy and then like living in Barbie land. So it's just like America's like strictly in the middle, and she's just like, we can't have a little bit of this, we can't have a little bit of that. Like, wake up,
And on top of that,
be who you are.
it's really annoying to hear, you know, the fact that like, I don't know, just it's weird to like adding to the monologue, I guess, infantilizing women, but also consistently putting like victim blaming responsibility on them. So you infantilize. It's the same like what I was saying with money, where like, but you've created most of the insecurities that I have
Absolutely.
on weight, on body hair, on skin color, on hair, on the little minute things that constitute beauty. Those were created, and then you sold me solutions.
Yeah.
For me though, not men, me though. So it's like you're to turn around and then attack women and be like, oh, like they spend too much money, they're frivolous, blah, blah, blah. You've literally put it into the fabric of our society.
You
that
are
every woman
Mattel,
is-
bro.
Yes,
There was not one lady in that room.
that one. Yeah,
You
there's no
are
men in
all,
there.
you're all
But he
men.
said- he
You're
said-
all selling the Barbies. You're all selling XY. You're all selling
Yes.
the dietary pills.
All
You're all
of
selling
you.
the skin bleaching products. Like, you
And
are
then to
Mattel.
act like Barbie is at the center of those discussions and that marketing scheme is like just It's not true.
No,
it's not true. You know, so
Gen Z knows that, by the way. Sorry, I'm not letting this go.
No,
I can't. It really annoys me, especially with current media that's targeted toward like young people. Gen Z is rarely ever written in a way that I approve of. And like I've also been going through a stage where like right now when I'm consuming media where it's just like I'm kind of picky with dialogue. Like I've noticed stuff kind of gives me the ick sometimes. And throughout this movie, like at least in like first viewing, I like, especially during America's dialogue, I was kind of like clenching my fist a little bit. I was like, please don't go in the way I think. And like, but it was just like once I let myself like kind of take in the words, I was just like, yes, this feels very kind of 2015 Tumblr infographic. But it's never been explicitly discussed like this in media. I'm going to enjoy it. Yes, at such a large scale. So you know what? I'm going to enjoy it. And also, America ate the fuck out of that performance too. So it's just like I was caught up in the way she was acting as well. So it's just like even if the dialogue, like it rarely happened, but like if it did, like it was just like it has a purpose in the movie and it feels authentic. It feels authentic to something. There's a heartbeat there. And one thing about Greta Gerwig as a director is she just loves cinema, and you can see it in the movie. Like she loves movies. She loves movies, and there's like the influences are all over the movie, and it's just like you feel her heartbeat in it, and it's just like it was super apparent in the last scene as well with the montage of like all of the women, and it was all of the women that were part of the lives of the crew members in the movie that were like, so it literally is like all of the people who were able to make this film and all of the women who are part of their lives and all of the women themselves were shown on screen. It's so rare that you see that too. It's so rare that you see crew members that are appreciated like quite literally in the film. So it's just like they were so central to the making of that world, and it's so great that they were in there too. So it's just like the point is you feel the heart of the movie. Thank you so much, Greta Gerwig. I love you, mother. Please call me.
Literally, it's just about extending empathy to yourself and
everybody,
seriously,
Ken,
like everyone.
Allan, Barbie, you, us, extend
everyone
grace to ourselves and to others.
All.
Be like Allan.
Be like Allan.
Yeah. My Letterboxd review, I give it like a 4.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Because I really enjoyed this movie. It would have been a 5, but it's just like it was just like those structural things that I like talked about before. I enjoyed it, and I loved seeing the packed theaters. You don't know how many times I said cinema is so back when I was in theaters today, because I saw Oppenheimer and I saw Barbie at the same, and it was just like it was such an overload of content that day. But I was so happy because I was like, everybody at the theaters, like I love this. It's perfect. Cinema's back.
I think I'm gonna give her a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
I think she would have gained a point if Greta didn't have to appeal to like the consumerism and the capitalism.
Valid point.
Like the way I would give you a lot of money to let me watch just Greta's interpretation of the film, I would have eaten that up. But the capitalism, it's too much. But 4 out of 5. I really liked it.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely 4.5 out of 5. Same reasons. I do just want to throw in there that, you know, before, you know, you get your little tidy whities in a tizzy, let's remember that women have been accessories, not just in real life, but in media forever. And male directors are fucking abusive often, to the point where women that are actresses and like on crew members feel like they need to shut up or they will be blacklisted. And it's funny that they show The Godfather, because name one woman, don't say Diane Keaton because you don't know her name in the movie. It starts with a way, who does he marry? Oh, okay.
Gagging.
So, and I've seen it.
It's
you know
so
what I mean?
crazy.
Like you can't get past me.
If you see, actually, good point to bring that up, but if you see like how on Letterboxd or like in just like in general how Barbie's being kind of review bombed by some men, if you look at their like accounts and you see like their favorite movies, you'll find The Godfather at the scene of the crime. Like you'll see The Godfather
The
1,
call is coming
The
from the
Godfather
house.
like you'll see The Godfather 1, 2, whatever the fuck, you'll see that in their like top 4, and it's just like but you hate Barbie. Like, I don't know. The math is mathing.
Right. And you don't get, and it's annoying because this movie didn't get to be appreciated for its artistry, for its world building, because of its message. But we do that with other male-dominated films.
Yeah.
Like look into Stanley Kubrick.
Practical effects are so back because of this film too. It's just like the way this movie was made. Like, yes, it's just like the set design is absolutely insane. And if they don't take it this year at the Oscars, I don't know what I'll do. But like I'll be forced to intervene, I guess. Like I don't know. You'll see me on the news. But like so yeah, and then the costume design, like the materiality was so important because they're plastic, they're dolls, they're Barbies. But it's just like it was so good. And I really do think, not to go too back to this, but I really do think you made such an excellent point about that amazing balancing act Greta had to do between like commenting on Mattel, but then also trying to bring an authentic story about Barbie herself onto the screen. Like, it is an impossible task to be able to balance like the business aspect and the film aspect, even though they're so like incredibly intertwined. And we talked about this before with In the Heights and how that failed to do that.
Yes.
But Greta, she just that middle magic, she's got it. And that's how you make a blockbuster if you're being real. So
final comments?
Yeah.
Anything else in your book that you didn't mention?
I love you, Alan. Thank you.
Really, I think that was it. Like the whole like woman can be anything versus woman should be everything. Like, hit me, and like I don't know. I just love the film. I encourage anyone watching it to watch it for what it is, to watch it for its artistry, for how beautiful it is, to take what you can from the film. I hate this whole like conservative propaganda thing going with like anything that kind of doesn't fit the binary anymore. It's getting scary and weird.
It's getting odd.
So if you haven't watched it, watch it with an open heart, an open mind,
and engage with it. Like if something makes you upset, please talk to yourself about why.
Think about it.
Reason through
Guys,
it.
we have to think. Like actually, and I don't mean that in like in a weird way. I actually mean like we have to watch things that make us
critical.
think. We have to read things that make us think. We cite our sources. Like we have to do all of the things because that's part of the work of being alive.
Because mind you, all three of us have exposed ourselves to Ben Shapiro and all these really shitty reviews. Like we've all seen them. Like it's not like we're just chatting like about, you know what I mean? And that's why our claims, like we come here with conviction for a reason, right? Like that's how that happens.
Yeah, do your own brain work.
Yeah.
Go and draw a conclusion for yourself.
Yeah.
It's not fair to draw your conclusion from all of these really biased, weird sources.
No, and it's hard. There's stuff everywhere.
Yeah,
there's so much. It's an overload of information, absolutely everywhere. But like, it's so worth it because being alive is worth it.
Yeah.
Point of the movie.
Right, which is exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what else is fucking worth it? That damn. I'm just kidding. Because what I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you guys.
Ryan is securing the Grammy.
What the fuck? Like,
I told y'all Greta needs to do a musical.
Oh my god.
That number was good too. I love that
It's
song.
fantastic.
Like it's climbing the charts, y'all. Go
I feel like they did
I'm
Billie
Just
Eilish dirty without putting the song like in it.
Yeah.
Like they did, a little bit of a riff.
A little bit.
Oh, I
love
also
that
liked
song.
the Greta mentioned like the Hand of God painting. Have you ever seen that? The Adam,
Yeah.
So when they hold hands, there's a moment where it's intentionally paused, where it's like Hand of God, where she's breathing like it's Ruth and Barbie. And then in the back, there's like the auras.
The final scene.
Yeah, with the different colors, which are like the feelings. It was just so cool.
That's amazing. I didn't even clock that. She's an artist, as you can see. So wow, that was beautiful. But I love that song. I love Billie Eilish song. I wish more of it was like played. You did mention before that it was cued like kind of throughout the movie.
It was
when Barbie has these like heavily emotional beats and moments. Wow.
This is definitely my new like feel good movie. Like
comfort
up there with
film.
yes, the coolest, up there with Legally Blonde. It's right there.
It's girl cinema.
Yes.
Girl cinema.
Yep.
I love it.
But yeah, that's all. Thank you,
Alright,
Alissa.
of course.
Thank you
for
so
having
much.
me.
Yeah,
Thanks for
we
watching.
really appreciate it, and thank you so much for watching and listening wherever you are. Bye.
Bye. And that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Oh my gosh.
Yay.
That was lovely.
Hooray!
You gave such good insights. Like,
yes,
sociology.
you did fantastic.
That degree, she earned that degree. Don't play with her.